Okay, can you see the screen?
Sir, April
Yes.
2 is Friday.
Ay, Friday ba? Anong? April 6? 2, 3, 4, 5. 6 pala, sorry. April 6. April 6, ano yun, Good Friday yun, ano? So, April 6. Okay, so can you see the screen, the Excel screen, guys?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let's have a quick
Yes
review.
po.
Okay, so the past meeting we learned how to construct a statement of cash flows. Okay, we use a template in order to be able to create our statement of cash flows, construct our statement of cash flows. It's best to do this, guys, as an initial step, as a template, because if what you have to do after this is just transfer the accounts to your formal statement of cash flows. By way of review, we said we start with the net income of, okay, what are the financial statements needed in order to construct our financial statements? You have to have the current year income statement and the balance sheet of the current year and the previous year. So if you have those, then you'll be able to construct your statement of cash flows. So you start with the net income and then add back any non-cash expense, which usually takes the form of depreciation and amortization. Then you consider what are the changes in your operating, investing, and financing activities. Okay, what's important is to be able to identify the changes in your balance sheet and what it affects, either operating, investing, financing. Any account that involves interest falls under financing. Okay, and of course, operating activities like accounts receivable, accounts payable falls under operating. Investing usually takes the form of your property, plant, and equipment. What we said, we summarized it last time that if an asset increases, it's a use of cash, and if an asset decreases, it's a source of cash. And it's just the opposite, guys, for liabilities and equity. If a liability or the equity account increases, then it's a source of cash. Otherwise, it's a use of cash. Okay, another thing that we looked into was the property, plant, and equipment. In particular, if you're given the net fixed assets. Okay, so this is fixed assets. Okay, we said that it's wrong to compare the net fixed assets. If usually the gross is given, the gross amount, so you just compare the gross amount. In case it's not given, then you have to compute for the change, the actual change, by looking at this pro forma. So you start with the net beginning, and then you compute for the net end by taking into account any acquisition, any disposal, and any depreciation expense for the year. Okay, this is easily solved. Either you use arithmetic, a little algebra, or you can just use the goal sheet of Excel. Okay. So with finality, guys, this is our statement of cash flows. And so here we were able to summarize the operating activities, investing activities, and financing activities. This means that this is a source of cash flow. This is a use of cash flow because it's negative. And this is also a use of cash flow being negative. And then we sum that up, we get 2,250, which is correct because we first looked at the change in cash, and cash increased by 2,250. So we expect the net change in cash here to be 2,250. And then we formalize it by writing the actual statement of cash flows, just following the template, guys. Okay, so this is net cash flow provided because it's positive by operating activities, and this it's here 722,838, and it's the same as this one 722,838. And then that cash flow used by investing, it's used because it's negative, a net use of cash 48,850, which should be the same as this one, and this one also net use of cash 21,738, net cash flow used by financing activities, which is this one. So adding all these three, Operating, investing, financing, you get 2,250, which we said agrees with this one. Okay, so that's your net increase in cash. Add that to the beginning cash balance of 45,000. So this was your beginning cash balance, 2019, 45,000. You have your cash balance at the end of December 31, at the end of 2020, which is 47,250. Okay, so any questions so far, guys, with the statement of cash flows? Okay, clear ba?
None, sir.
Okay, thank you. The rest, paki-chat nga guys kung clear so far. Is the statement of cash flows clear?
Hindi po.
Okay, thank you. Okay, good. Thank you. Okay, thank you guys for your feedback. Again, guys, if you have any questions, remember that this is a safe environment. Nobody will ostracize you or criticize you or pillory you before others by asking questions. I'd like us, everyone, to respect questions. Okay, so we'd like this to be a very safe and a very fun environment where people are open to ask questions so that we're free to voice out if there are any concerns or if there are any unclear part of the lesson. Okay, that's good. So let's go now to there's another requirement, this one. Construct the statement of cash flows and the statement of retained earnings, okay? Statement of shareholders' equity for 2020. Okay, may I request you to create another worksheet, guys? Okay, so let's create another worksheet, add another worksheet. Do you know how to add a worksheet, guys? How do you add a worksheet? Because this was not added before.
Sir, click yung plus po dun sa
Okay,
right.
saan? Dito, no? Dito?
Yes, sir.
Ito, pwede i-click nyo to, plus. So, magkakaroon ng additional na worksheet. Okay, so that's very easy if we want to add a worksheet. What if you want to copy this particular worksheet? Kunyari yung basic model, gusto nating kopyahin kasi gusto mong I forgot to tell you, no? Mali ako dun, no? We should have, guys, it's best, we should have preserved the original, no? We should have preserved the basic model, yung walang answer. Tapos sana kinapi natin yung another copy, and then we worked on that para na-preserve pa natin yung original para so that you can on your own practice also. But anyway, sige, ganun lang, no? How do you create a copy of this?
Right-click po.
Right-click, then
Move or copy.
move or copy, and then
Then, check po ng create a copy.
create a copy. Pwede yan, ano? That's good. That's one way. But is there a shorter way? There is a shorter way, guys, no? You do it this way. Press Control, and then point to your worksheet. Okay, and then you see this. I press Control, and then I left click this, and you notice, what do you notice there, guys? What's in the mouse? It's another worksheet na may plus, di ba? And you just drag this. Ayan, so that's a copy already. Okay? Kaysa yung right click, tapos move or copy. Pwede rin yun, kaso mas mabilis to. Okay? Any questions about that? Sa Mac ba, control ba rin? Or command? So you click the worksheet that you want copied. Sa Windows, press control and then left click your mouse. Yan, ganyan. I think sa Mac command, no? Tama ba? Mac
Yes,
users?
po.
Okay, sa Mac users, ganun din, no? So if you want to create a copy, that's very easy using the mouse. You can use the other way, which is right click and then make a copy. Okay, but the other one is, for me, this is faster. Just press control and then there you go. That's a copy already. So let me delete that. Any questions about that, guys? Okay, kung wala, guys, let's create another worksheet. Mag-plus kayo dito. Let's name it Shareholders Equity. And then I'd like you to copy this first. Okay, let's copy the format first. I'm sorry, I wasn't able to give you a copy of this. But let's just give it, the name of the company is Advanced Technologies. Statement of Shareholders Equity for the year ended. And then for row 5, you merge these cells, common stock, retained earnings, total shareholders equity. Okay, so I'll give you 2 minutes, guys, to copy this. So let me pause the recording first.
Sir, sorry to disturb, pero ayun.
Yeah,
Yun
oh,
po.
yeah.
Sorry,
Thank you.
kaka-start lang.
Oh, so I'll just repeat, no? So we fill up this template of statement of shareholders equity. Okay, thank you. So yung sa common stock natin, dalawa yung column na ilalagay natin, yung number of shares and then the amount. And then we have retained earnings and then the end value, which is just your common stock plus your retained earnings, which is your total shareholders equity. And we said that this follows the flow of your shareholders equity. At the beginning of the year, this is January 1, 2020 or December 31, 2019. Pareho lang yun, no? And then ano nangyari sa net income? Ano nangyari sa dividends? Tapos ano yung net effect nitong dalawang to? And then this will be the net effect to the statement of shareholders equity. Inanet natin dito sa beginning plus the effect to get your ending. So ganun lang siya, no? Number of shares given tayo na 100,000 to. So ang question, how much was common stock at the beginning of the year? So at the beginning of the year, it was 444,600, no? So notice guys na hindi naman siya nagbago kasi par value to. So ibig sabihin wala naman in-issue na new shares of stock, no? So 444,600. And then in 2019 guys, nagkaroon daw ng retained earnings na 90,000, no? So ito yung retained earnings ng 2019, okay? So yung 444,600 nadagdagan ng retained earnings na 90. So we get 534,600. So this is obtained by adding the two, or we can just copy yung 534,600. Kasi ito yung ending ng 2019, which is just the beginning of 2020. So yung end ng 2019 is the beginning of 2020. Okay, let's move on to the next one. So at the beginning of 2020, ito yung total shareholders natin. Then, nag-operate yung company. So, nag-generate sila ng income, okay? Operating results to. So, how much was the net income in 2020? So, from the income statement, we know that it is 53,238. So, we get that value, guys, and put it under retained earnings, no? Is equal to 53,238. Okay. And then, nag-dividends ba? Yes, there were dividends. So, kokopyahin din natin to. Sa 2020, ang dividends is 43,300. Okay, take note, hindi itong 41,213 kinokopya natin, ha? Kasi ang create natin na statement is statement of shareholders equity for 2020. Okay, so you're looking at the net income for 2020 and the dividends issued for 2020. Okay, so we copy that, oops, is equal to this one. Okay, and then let's put this, gawin natin format natin, control 1, ito, number, gawin natin may parentheses, 2 decimal places, that's okay. And so this should be negative. Lagyan natin ng negative, guys, kasi it's a cash outflow. Okay. Okay, clear so far?
Yes,
po.
sir.
Okay, so therefore, the addition slash subtraction to retained earnings will be just the sum of this. So isum natin to, sum of this. And then yung net niyan, dito pupunta sa shareholders equity. Okay, so yung last, guys, we will just add the effects here, no? So this is equal to sum. This one. So sinam ko lang guys, yung total na to, lahat ng gagalaw dito. And then, sum this up. Format natin to. Ipareho natin dito. How do you copy formats, guys? Kunyari yung number na to, yung format ng number na to kasi, pag negative, may parenthesis siya, tapos dalawang decimal places. Ito kasi walang decimal places. How do you copy this format? Anyone? Gusto ko, pag negative, may parenthesis, tapos dalawang decimal places. Ito kasi, ano siya, yung walang decimal place. Okay, there are several ways to do this. Let me just, do you use the format painter, guys? Ito? Ginagamit nyo ba to? If you don't use that, okay, so good. So you can, if you want to copy the format of this one, click nyo lang itong cell na to. Okay? Kasi ang format nito, di ba, if I press Control 1, itong format niya, no? Yung Control 1 kasi will generate this. Sulat ko lang baka, para hindi na rin. Control plus 1. Control 1, guys. If I go here, Control 1, you'll generate the format cells. Sa ano ba? Sa Mac? Command 1 ba? Sa Mac? Mac users, Command 1. Meron parenthesis. Okay. So kung wala dun sa options nyo, guys, okay, sige, gawin natin ha. So, how do you format this? Control 1 ulit. Sa Mac, Command 1 ba? Mac users. Okay, thank you. So sa Mac, Command 1, no, sa Windows, Control 1. When you press Control 1, guys, it will generate this format cells. No? Shortcut siya, keyboard shortcut. And then nasa number tayo, okay, then click number, and then we want 2 decimal places. And then you choose this. Ito, yung may parenthesis. Kapag negative, ibig sabihin negative numbers, may parenthesis. Huwag na yung red. We just want
Sir,
the black.
walang parenthesis yung sa akin.
Wala.
Wala rin sa akin, sir.
Same problem here, sir.
Ha? Ganun
Same
ba?
din po. No parenthesis po.
Clinic nyo ba itong use separators?
Yes, sir.
Wala pa rin. Okay, now I don't know kung bakit ganun, no? That's supposed, kasi matagal na to eh. Dati pa to eh. Okay, so I can't answer that question right now, guys. Ano? So siguro i-search nyo na lang kung bakit walang ano, no? But that should be, that should be present. Kasi standard sa Excel yun eh. I'm not so sure why. Okay, sinelect nyo ba yung cell?
Yes, sir. Everything po.
Sinelect nyo muna to.
Yes, sir.
Tapos sa control 1 kayo.
Yes, sir.
Tapos walang, sa number, sa category, did you choose number?
Yes, sir.
Okay, tapos hindi lumalabas yung ano?
Yung option na po sa akin is pareho silang negative. Diba dapat sir
Same
yung,
rin sa akin, sir. Ganun din.
yung second na black, may parenthesis na pero pareho pa rin silang negative.
Ganun? Oh.
Yes, sir.
Same rin po, sir.
Kasi pag general, wala yon. Pag currency naman kasi, pag currency, subukan nyo nga.
Ganun pa rin, sir. Pareho
Wala yung may
negative.
parenthesis.
Walang parenthesis.
Oo. Okay, so first time kong narinig yung issue na yan. Sige, subukan ko rin kayong tulungan na na alamin natin, no? As of now, guys, I don't know kasi this is the first time that I encountered such a problem. But anyway, so kung wala yung parenthesis, magna-negative na lang muna kayo dito or positive na lang din, huwag nyo na lang isum, i-minus nyo na lang. No? So that can be another alternative na lang muna. Pero it will be good to discover why we don't have this format. No? Excel 2016 ba yan?
Yes, sir.
That's strange kasi Excel 2003 nga, yung legacy version ng Excel, meron ng ganyan eh. Okay. Daniel, thank you. Sa'yo nagka-parenthesis na, no? So I'm really surprised, but thank you for informing me about this. So in the meanwhile, guys, either lagyan nyo ng negative yan or walang negative, tapos imamanage nyo lang dito. Ang disadvantage nga lang nun, pag walang negative to, hindi nyo masasum up to. Okay? Kasi dito ang ginawa natin, here, sinum up lang natin siya, and then kinopy natin to the right. Okay? Then, as I was saying, guys, yung copying format, so assuming na meron tayong parenthesis, no? I'm going to go here. And then dito sa home, guys, sa home, and then sa clipboard, you notice this one, Format Painter. If you click this once, then you're going to copy the format to one cell. But if you click it twice, so click ko siya ng 2 beses, guys, no? And then, kikita nyo may parang paintbrush na dyan. I can now go to different cells. Click here, click here, click here. No? And then escape. Nakopy na yung format niya. Yun nga lang, nawala yung underscore. So, ibabalik ko na lang dito. Okay? Alright. Therefore, if you notice, guys, yung common stock natin, at the end of December 31, 2020, we have 100,000 shares of common stock. We have common stock worth 444,600, retained earnings at 99,938, and then total shareholders equity 544,538, which is in agreement with what we have here. Okay. Ito, sorry. So, at the beginning of the year, 444, beginning of the year, 444, at December 31, 444 yung common stock, retained earnings 999, total common equity 544,538. So this is exactly the same as this one. Okay? So we have effectively summarize ko lang ito, guys, ito is the same as the beginning of the year, which is the end of 2019 ito. Bali ang kinokopya lang natin, ang pinapasok natin sa statement of shareholders equity, ito at the beginning, and then this one at the end. Okay, any questions? Any questions? Kung clear, guys, paki-chat nga kung clear.
No questions naman po, sir.
Okay, thank you. So, okay, good. Thank you. I appreciate always, guys, your feedback. No? All right, so that takes care of our statement of shareholders equity. Okay, now let's begin to the other measures here. Ito. So let's see how far we can get here. Okay, these are very important measures. Okay, we begin with the computing for your NOWC, or net operating working capital. Okay, so let me just engage my digital pen. Okay. So first we have, guys, our NOWC. As the name suggests, guys, net, no? Net siya. Pag sinabi net, di ba we're subtracting one item from another item. And then you have here operating and then working capital. Okay? Kasi pag sinabi nating working capital, guys, it's actually your current assets minus your current liabilities. That's your working capital. However, or your net working capital. However, meron tayong descriptor na operating. So ano ibig sabihin, guys, ng NOWC, net operating working capital? Okay, the operative word here is operating. Pag sinabing operating, ang ninenet natin is your operating current assets minus your operating current liabilities. Okay, so that's what we mean by net operating working capital. Again, guys, kapag net, if it's only net working capital, it's current assets minus current liabilities. If it's net operating working capital, it becomes operating current assets minus operating current liabilities. And ano yung mga operating current assets and operating current liabilities? These are the accounts that are non-interest bearing. Diba? Last time we studied this. For example, sa current assets natin, guys, merong short-term investments. No? Now, take note that this is, si short-term investments, guys, hindi yan operating kasi interest-bearing yan. Kaya nga, dito natin siya linagay dun sa financing. No? So when we say operating current assets, sila lang yung current assets na non-interest-bearing. So let's identify them, guys. Okay, see, cash ba? Cash and cash equivalents, is this an operating current asset? Yes or no? Yes or no, please? See, cash and cash equivalents. Answer is? And one, try.
Yung current assets po.
So we're now looking at operating current assets. No? Ang tanong ko, itong cash and cash equivalent, kasama ba yan sa operating current asset? Any guess?
I think yes po.
Yes, kasama siya. No? Thank you. Kasama siya sa operating current asset. Itong short-term investment, we already answered that a while ago.
Hindi, sir.
Hindi, no? Kasi interest-bearing yan eh. No? So sa current assets natin, ang mga kasama lang si cash and cash equivalents. Sino pa? Kasama ba itong short-term investments? Hindi. Si accounts receivable, operating ba to? Operating, guys? Accounts receivable.
Sir, operating.
Yes, yes. Operating siya, tama. Correct. Kasama to, no? Ito hindi. Itong short-term investment. Itong inventories, guys. Operating ba to? Yes or no? Class? Yes, kasama to, no? So sa current assets natin, ang current assets natin dito, 4 lang eh. So ang kasama doon, si cash and cash equivalents, accounts receivable, at saka si inventories. Short-term investments will not form part of your operating current assets. How about yung current liabilities natin? Ito. Tatatlo lang siya. Accounts payable, operating current liabilities ba yan? Part of operations ba siya? Okay, yes. Correct, no? Yes. So that's part of your current liabilities. Okay, so yes to. How about accruals, guys? Accruals. Accrued utilities. Yung mga na-incur na pero hindi pa nababayaran.
Yes, sir.
Yes, operating din yan. Notes payable.
Yes, sir.
Hindi po, sir.
Interest
Ay,
bearing,
no.
di ba? Oo, so hindi kasama tong notes payable. Okay? So sa current liabilities natin, 2 lang. Okay? So how do we compute for operating Balik tayo dito. Net operating working capital. So we just subtract yung operating current assets minus operating current liabilities. Okay, so let's let me increase the size. Operating current assets minus operating current liabilities. So this is equal to sum, add natin 2020. Sino yung operating current assets natin? It will be the sum of cash and cash equivalent. Sino pa? Comma, accounts receivable and inventories. Yan. Okay, so 3 items. Clear, guys? So 472,500. You should get that. Okay, and then our operating current liabilities will be the sum of, as we discussed a while ago, sum lang siya ng accounts payable at saka accruals. So itong dalawang to. All right? Therefore, our net operating working capital is just the difference between the two. Okay, pause. Any questions? Anything you'd like me to repeat?
Wala naman
Sir,
Yes, sige.
ano
Yes.
po ulit yung kasama sa operating current assets?
Operating current assets will include cash and cash equivalents, tapos accounts receivable, tapos inventories. So ito, F27, F29 to F30. Ito yung cash, ito yung accounts receivable, at saka yung inventories natin. For operating current liabilities, it will be your accounts payable at saka yung accruals. Hindi kasama yung notes payable. Okay? And then we do the same for 2019. So, syempre kung alam natin gawin sa 2020, dapat alam din natin gawin sa 2019. So for 2019, it will be the sum of this one, comma, these two. Control Enter. So, and this one will be equal to sum of 2019 na accounts payable and right. This is equal to this. Okay, kindly look, kindly compare, guys. Any questions? Okay, good. Thank you. All right. So we have computed so alam na natin si we know net operating working capital for 2020, which is equal to 330,750. Alam na rin natin si NOWC ng 2019 equal to 315. So these are the measures we have computed so far. Now let's take a look now at the next one.
Sir?
Yes.
Sir?
Yes.
What's your formula ulit po for the liabilities?
For liability, it's just summing up your accounts payable and your accruals.
Accruals.
Oh,
Thank
hindi
you, sir.
natin sinasama si notes payable kasi hindi siya operating, no? Interest bearing yan. Okay, did that answer your question?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, sige. Any more questions, guys? Okay, sige. So let's proceed. No? After we have computed for NOWC, we now compute for your total. No? Okay, total. Take note guys, kanina, net operating working capital. Ngayon naman, T, so this is your T NOC, total net operating capital, or others call this TOC. Pareho lang yung total net operating capital or total operating capital. It's the same. And the formula, guys, is NOWC, and we have NOWC na, di ba? Meron tayo nito, plus fixed assets, and kindly just take note here that this should be net. No? Okay, please, I forgot to put here net. Okay, in this instance, dapat net ang ginagamit natin. Okay, so let's compute for that. So for 2020, okay, do we know NOWC for 2020? Yes. Na-compute na natin yan, ito. No? So that's your NOWC. We have that already. We were able to compute that. And then fixed assets, which should be your net. Dapat net ang ginagamit dyan. This one. Okay, nagkataon guys na nagkapareho ha. So that doesn't mean anything ha. It's not telling us that they should be the same. It just so happened that in this example, the NOWC and the net fixed assets are the same. Okay, so our TOC for 2020 is the sum of yung operating working capital natin plus our fixed assets. Yan. Clear so far, guys? And then we can do the same for 2019. It's 315. And then this is equal to net fixed assets. So nagkataon lang din serendipitously, guys, na pareho sila. But again, guys, they're not, nagkataon lang to. That's just it just happened by chance. No? You can just sum it or just add it. Will give us the same answer. Okay, pause muna ako. Okay, so I'll give you a minute to work on your spreadsheet. Okay, kindly chat guys kung okay for me to continue. If you were able to follow along. Kindly chat yes kung if you're able to follow along and okay na for me to continue. Okay guys, okay na ba? May I continue now?
Okay na po, sir.
Okay na? Okay, the rest guys? Okay for me to continue? Okay, sige. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So, what this is telling us, unang-una guys, let's understand what TOC means or TNOC. It means that's the capital, operating capital provided to management. So management was provided in 2019 with a operating capital. Ibig sabihin, capital yan na gagamitin for operations. No? for the conduct of the business of the company. 630 million, take note that these figures are in thousands, no? In thousands of pesos. So ibig sabihin yan, in millions to. So in 2019, the company was provided with 630 million, pero for purposes of just reading it, 630,000 lang sasabihin ko. 630,000 of operating capital. And then in 2020, it jumped to a total of 661,500. Ibig sabihin, did the company provide management with a greater amount of operating capital? Yes or no, guys? Did the company provide management with a greater amount of working capital? Pakichat, guys, kung yes or no. Kasi noong 2019, 630 lang. Noong 2020, 661 na. So, dinagdagan ba ng company yung operating capital na ginagamit ng used by management? Answer is, guys? Okay, yes, tama. Correct. Kasi 630 lang dati, tapos naging 661. Okay, so the firm provided more operating capital for the use in the operations of the company. Okay, so how much was the investment? How much was the investment in TOC? Noong 2020, it was 661. But in 2019, it was only 630. Therefore, there was an investment in by 31,500. Okay, clear so far, guys? Ibig sabihin, management provided the company with an additional 31,500 for its operating capital. And we call it investment in total operating capital. Okay. All right, so we now discuss the concept of NOPAT. And in order to understand what NOPAT means, guys, I'm going to create here a distinction between, let's create here first NIAT and NOPAT. So i-distinguish natin, guys, yung anong difference ng net income after tax kaysa net operating profit after tax. It's very important for us to know the difference between the two. Okay, so let's start with, we pick up from, we're going to start with EBIT. Ito, guys, ito. We're going to start with EBIT and go down. No? Kasi yung net income after tax natin, ito yon. No? We know this, guys. EBIT, and then that's earnings before interest and taxes. And then we subtract the interest. Then we subtract the tax in order to come up with the net income after tax. So we're familiar with this net income after tax. So let's just reproduce that here. So your EBIT, and then your interest. So this will be your earnings before tax. Then your tax. This is your net income after tax slash net. Okay. So let's get it from here. Our EBIT is 99,200. And then our interest expense is, you can just copy this. Interest expense is 10,470. Let me put an underline there. Therefore, our EBT is this one, net EBIT minus interest expense. And then our tax is, okay, let's put here, okay, times 40%. And then we get our net income after tax, which is this minus this. Okay, any questions? Okay, yung net income after tax, guys, riniproduce lang natin to, no? It came from your income statement. So we started with EBIT, your earnings before interest and taxes, less interest to generate our earnings before tax, less tax, and we're using here 40%, although hindi na accurate to, no? Dapat 30% na lang to. And then we have your net income after tax. Okay, any questions with net income after tax? Pakichat nga guys kung clear siya.
Sir, pwede makita po ulit paano masunod.
Okay, ito, galing lang siya sa taas, no? Okay, sige. Ilagay ko dito, no? So itong EBIT natin, I got it from the income statement. F15, which is your EBIT for 2020. Ito ba yun? Oh. Yan. Okay, and then I copy the interest expense. Nasa F16 lang din yan. Okay, so how do we compute for the EBT? This is just earnings before tax. So you just subtract your interest to generate your earnings before tax. And then this one is that your earnings before tax times 40%. Because we're given that the tax rate is at 40%. Okay, and then we just subtract your EBIT less your EBT less your tax. That's your net income after tax. And as I said, this is just the same as the one in our balance sheet, in our income statement. 53,238 net income after tax natin, 53,238. So the same. Okay, so did that answer your question? Clear na tong net income after tax?
Clear na po.
Okay, clear. Sige. All right. Now, how about NOPAT? So net operating profit after tax. Ang kaibahan nito, guys, ito may operating. Okay, so we copy the same. Okay, EBIT. Okay, now remember, guys, sino ang responsible dun sa mga activities that generate interest? Guys. Sino? Operating ba yun? Investing, financing?
Financing po.
Financing yan. No? So, kunyari, nasa operations tayo. Tapos, i-assess tayo, no? Yung performance natin. Okay. Would it be fair for us to be assessed by subtracting interest expense? Eh, wala naman tayong ka-control doon, di ba? Paano, kunyari, kung si finance humiram ng 1 million, tapos, kunyari, 10 million, tapos ang interest expense, 1 million na kagad. Oh, so, wala na. Wipe out na kagad yung EBIT natin. Di ba, guys? You get the logic? So, yung interest expense na to, guys, this is not controlled by operations. Okay, so if I was operations and then we will be assessed by how we performed, eh dapat, kasi since hindi natin controllable expense to, wala tayong kinalaman dito, dapat i-zero out yan. Okay? So this is now the difference between your NOPAT and your NIAT. Sa net income after tax, we consider interest expense. Sa net operating profit after tax, logically, guys, we don't mind we will not be held responsible for the interest expense. Okay, stop muna ako dun, guys. Klaro yon, guys. Sa NOPAT, hindi natin ikakarga para i-assess yung operating performance. Hindi natin ikakarga yung interest expense kasi that's outside the responsibility of operations. Okay, clear yon?
Opo. Opo,
Okay.
sir.
So therefore, our EBT now is simply this one minus 0. No? So 99,200 pa rin. Kasi nga hindi sa atin i-charge yung interest expense. Okay, clear? Then therefore, we have now our tax is 99 times 40%. And then this one is equal to, just subtract. Format. Okay, take a look at that, guys. Ano nangyari? What happened? Sino mas mataas, guys? Sino mas mataas? Si NIAT o si NOPAT?
Sir, si NOPAT.
NOPAT will be higher. Assuming there's interest, no? Kasi pag walang interest, pareho lang si NIAT at saka si NOPAT. But in the presence of interest expense, NOPAT will always be greater than your NIAT. Ano yung difference, guys? The difference is 6282, no? Teka muna, akala ko yung interest expense 10,470. Bakit hindi 10,470 yung difference ni NIAT at saka si NOPAT? Diba, ang interest expense 10,470. So hindi natin kinalagay yung 10,470 na to. But if you take a look at the bottom line, guys, 6282 na lang yung laki ni ni NOPAT.
Sir,
What
dahil
happened?
sa taxes.
All right, correct. Correct, no? Thank you. Thank you, Madeline. Because of the taxes. And who was the one who answered just now?
Sir, si Hans po.
Hans, thank
Hans
you.
Fondan.
Correct. Hans, tama ka, no? Madeline also. No, kasi may tax tayo. No? So ano nangyari sa tax ni NOPAT? Mas mataas yung tax ngayon ni NOPAT, guys, kaysa sa tax ni net income after tax. Bakit? Kasi mas mataas ngayon yung taxable base. Ito na ngayon yung taxable base ni ni NOPAT. Ang taxable base na niya is 99,200 while si NIAT 8873 lang. No? So what happened was, yung tax ni net income after tax ni NIAT mas maliit. Okay? Now, this is a good time to tell you guys na may benefit ang umuutang. Okay? Kasi itong interest expense, that's generated by borrowing. Diba? So when you borrow, you generate interest expense. And interest expense is tax deductible. So ibabawas muna natin yan bago natin kukomputin yung taxable base. Okay, pag na-compute na yung taxable base, saka kakomputin yung tax, liliit yung tax. And do you know what do you call that, guys? May pangalan yan eh. Would you know how that's called? Yung effect ng borrowing on raising decreasing your tax liability. That's called the use of interest expense. Interest, yung paghiram, it has what we call a leverage effect. Okay, leverage. When lever guys, no? Yung tinataas, it's like a kunyari parang ganito. So this is, let's say, wood. Tapos ito yung fulcrum natin. No? Yung effect ng interest, guys, okay, interest, tumataas to. This goes up. So nagkakaroon ng leverage effect yung use of debt. No? Kasi ang nag-generate ng interest expense, guys, use of debt. Eh. So later on, when we go to capital structure, mas makikita natin to. Na, in a sense, maganda rin yung umuutang. Kasi yung pag umutang ka, may interest expense na na-generate, tapos, nagkakaroon ng leverage effect yan dun sa profitability. Okay? Aside from the fact that, kung may credit worthiness may credit history ka, later on, pag may malaking projects yung firm, mas madali siyang humiram kasi may track record yung company ng paghihiram at saka pagbabayad. No? So may agency na tinatawag na ganyan na pinag-aaralan nila yung credit ranking, credit rating ng isang company. And a company that borrows and pays on time, pays its obligation on time, has a good credit rating, so it's able to borrow later on. Kunyari, pag malalaking projects na, sayang naman kung yung, remember yung NPV, kung yung project na yan, NPV malaki, okay, yung net present value yan malaki, eh walang sufficient na resources yung company, and the best way to go about it is to borrow some amount, hindi sila makakahiram kung wala silang track record ng ano. Mahirapan silang humiram. So, debt, guys, utang is not bad at all. To a certain degree, guys, it's good because it has what we call a leverage effect. So do not fall for that statement that debt is bad. Okay? From a financing perspective, guys, that's a false statement. But of course, debt is bad. Debt is bad, guys. Qualified dapat yan. Kasi hindi naman pa pwede, guys, yung debt ratio, kunyari, umaabot na ng 95%, 99%. Delikado yun. And besides, realistically, guys, walang company na magpapahiram na ang debt ratio ng company is at 95%, di ba? Okay? Alright, so let's go back. So ito ngayon, guys, yung NOPAT natin, 59,250. Okay? It's more by 6282. Okay? Nabawasan siya ng ilang percent, guys? 10,470. Bawasan natin ng, okay. Ito, guys, yung ano. Let me write that. Para naintindihan natin. Okay, ito yung, so we're coming from our net income after tax. Ito yung interest pala natin, no? Interest. So in order to compute for your NOPAT, guys, ang ginagawa natin, yung interest, babawasan natin ng 40% yan. Well, ito yung tax rate pala, no? Sorry. So let me generalize it. Whatever the tax rate is. Okay? So ang magiging, ano na lang, difference, yung net difference between NIAT and NOPAT is just 1 minus the tax rate, okay, multiplied by your interest. Multiplied by the interest expense. Kasi 10,070, let me write that. Okay. And then sabi natin 40% and then 60%. In this case, bakit 40% ginamit ko? Kasi ito yung tax rate, no? So if we multiply this one, so fix ko lang siya, times 40%. Okay, what did I do here, guys? So yung 10,470, minultiply ko ng tax rate na 40%. So yun yung mababawas, no? Mababawas dun sa net income after tax natin. Yung matitira, which is just, okay, this is equal to 1 minus 40%, yung 60%, 6282. Ito ngayon, guys, yung difference between NIAT and NOPAT. Okay, so pause muna ako kasi mukhang baka marami na kayong questions. Okay, tama, no? Thank you, Madeline. 6282 because of the tax. Okay, any questions, guys? Any questions?
None, sir.
Okay.
None for me, sir.
All right, good. So may shortcut ba, guys, in order to compute for your NOPAT? Kasi tingnan nyo itong NOPAT, guys. Oh. How can we compute for the NOPAT, guys. Kasi si NIAT, ang gagawin muna natin yan, from the EBIT, we subtract interest, then you get the net, and then subtract tax. Si NOPAT, guys, diretso na eh. So what will be the shortcut to compute for your NOPAT? Any suggestion, guys? So your NOPAT will simply be, go to, start ka ng EBIT, no? From your EBIT, guys, what do? We subtract your tax rate. Yan, diretso na. No? EBIT, no? Tapos, pag i-distribute natin to, EBIT yan, di ba? Ito. So that's your EBIT times your tax rate. Bawasan natin yung effect ng tax so that we get your your NOPAT. So let me just illustrate that. So this is also equal to your EBIT times 1 minus, dapat sinulat natin tax rate. Our tax rate is 40%. 59,520. Okay. So that's how we compute for the net operating profit after tax. So anong practical implication yan? If you're going to assess management, if you're going to assess operations, hindi dapat sila i-assess nito, 53,238. Kasi unfair yun. Kasi binawas natin yung interest expense. Okay, so we're now looking at this from a managerial perspective, no? Bakit sa atin ibabawas? Kunyari operations tayo. Bakit sa atin ibabawas yung 10,470? Wala naman tayong control doon, di ba? Paano kung nag-generate, as I mentioned a while ago, paano kung nag-generate yung finance ng interest na, let's say, as I said, exage natin, 1 million. Patay na kagad, no? Wala na matitira dun sa EBIT natin kasi kinain na lahat ng interest. So to be fair, guys, we come up with a measure called NOPAT to assess the performance of operations without charging them with an expense that they're not accountable for, that they're not responsible for. So, binaypass natin interest expense, tapos sakala natin yung tax to get your NOPAT. And we said that NOPAT, guys, will be higher than your net income after tax, assuming that there's interest expense. If there's no interest expense, then pareho lang si NIAT at saka si NOPAT. Okay, guys, clear so far? Okay, any questions?
Sir.
Okay. Right, so I hope clear yung concept ng net operating profit after tax, no? So let's compute our NOPAT here. Okay, ito yung sinasabi kong formula natin, no? So we start with your EBIT. Okay, dito natin ilagay, no? Or hindi, kunin natin sa taas para our EBIT is 99,200. Lagyan natin dito yung tax rate, 40%. And then, it's 1 minus your tax rate. So from the EBIT, you just get 60%. Or the net from the tax rate. Multiply this, you get 59,520, which is the same.
Sir,
Yes?
can you do the percentage again, the tax rate? How did
Sige.
you input it?
Okay,
Thank
so
you.
ito, sinulat ko lang yung tax rate, no? Okay. Mas maganda, guys, mas maganda sana. Well, I'll tell you a secret later on. Pero sige, unahin ko na dito, ha. When I do modeling, nagre-reserve ako ng mga slots dito sa taas, no? Yung mga givens, yung mga absolutes. Kunyari yan, tax rate na yan. Ang tax rate, di ba sabi natin, ang tax rate, let's assume that it's constant, no? So for example, I'm going to create here a name, tax rate. Did I mention this to you already last time? Parang na-mention ko na to. I can't recall. So this is tax rate which is 40%. Okay. And I know that I'm going to use this sa lahat ng sa lahat ng mga worksheet sa Excel workbook ko. So, did I teach you guys how to give a name to cells?
Yes, sir.
O, di ba? Tinuro ko sa inyo, no? So, one way is to highlight your cell, no? Highlight your cell and then just type here tax rate. Pwede yun. Kung isa-isa lang naman, no? Or, give the name, guys, give it the name to a cell beside it, in this case, tax rate. Tapos yung name dapat, guys, hindi pwedeng 2 words, no? Dapat single character lang. You can do this, or if you want, pwede yung lagyan na ganyan, no? May underscore. Okay, I'll just use this. And then, naalala niyo ito, guys. Control-Shift-F3. Control-Shift-F3, that's the shortcut command. Sabi niya, create names from selection. Hinuhulaan ni Excel na ang pangalan yung nasa left column. Okay? So that's, or, yung long cut niya is go to home. And then, formula shut-up formula. Yan, ito. So ito, no? I highlight this. Formulas, and then dito, guys. No? Sa defined names. So defined name, and then, sorry, not defined name, but create from selection. Ayun. Ito yung kanina generate natin yung Control-Shift-F3. Dito nang galing yun sa formulas, and then defined names, create from selection, left row. Okay. So, ngayon guys, ito, may pangalan na siya, tingnan mo, tax rate. Tax rate. So this cell, 40% has already a name, tax rate. So when I use it in a formula, parang dito, no? Okay, so baguhin ko to, Ay, sorry. Okay. Here I want 1 minus, ito tax rate to. No? So I'll just write is equal to 1 minus, okay. And I know that my tax rate starts with T. Diba? Tingnan nyo. Andun siya, ito. Yung named cell natin. Click tax rate. Ayan. Okay, yung tax rate dyan, yan yung 40%. So 1 minus tax rate, that gives us, enter. Enter. So that's 60%. Pero ang formula niya, 1 minus tax rate. Okay, clear yun, guys? Clear ba?
Clear po, sir.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you. Okay, so we can now compute for our NOPAT, which is just your EBIT times 1 minus tax rate. Okay. So again, anong gamit guys ang NOPAT? This is used to assess the performance of operations. Kasi usually ang ginagamit, net income after tax. Pero sabi ko nga, there's from the perspective of operations, it's quote-unquote unfair to be assessing them based on net income after tax. Kasi ang net income after tax carries with it interest charges. Operations naman guys, hindi sila yung responsible for interest charges. Okay? All right. Then next, okay, I think we'll be only able up to reach yung free cash flow. So let me just introduce this. Kasi very important tong concept ng free cash flow. Okay, I want you to research guys, ano ba yung free cash flow? Sa next meeting, medyo ang discussion natin, we'll get it from free cash flow. No? Ay, di pa pala. 2:09. Oh, may ano pa tayo, may 5 minutes pa. Okay, net. So we go to net free cash flow. Okay, so first, I'd like you to discover or research saan pa ginagamit yung free cash flow. Okay, kasi so far, ang napag-aralan pa lang natin is cash flow. So what's free cash flow for? What does this do? Yung free cash flow. Free cash flow. Okay? So it's cash flow, okay, available for distribution, no? Pero let me suspend the definition of that because I want you to discover for yourself. Ano nga ba yung free cash flow? Pero mag-ano muna ako, check muna ako. Who among you, is this the first time you heard or you heard of this measure called free cash flow? Yes or no lang, guys? First time ba na narinig nyo itong ano? Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you. Kasi importante sa finance, guys, makikita nyo sa ibang mga analysis ng mga financial statements, makikita nyo itong measure na to, free cash flow. And that's a very important measure. So let's just start with the formula. Let's just compute for it. And then, i-discuss natin in greater detail to on Thursday. So we start with the TOC, NOPAT. So how much was NOPAT for 2020? NOPAT was 59,520. Okay? So ito guys yung binigay na okay, ito yung na-generate na operating profit ng ng management. Okay? And then guys, how much was invested in 2020? Magkano in-invest in 2020? Diba at the start in 2019, at the end of 2019, there was total operating capital of 630. Tapos natagdagan, naging 61,650, 661,500. Therefore, ang nagdagdag guys is 31,500. Okay? So, 59,000. Okay. So, ang net investment natin, yung dinagdag natin sa operating capital is 31,500. Therefore, ang free cash flow natin is 59,000 yung NOPAT minus yung net investment. Okay, 28,020. So ano ibig sabihin ng 28,020 na yan? Saan ginagamit yung free cash flow? The bigger the free cash flow ba, the better? Okay, that I'll answer yes, the bigger, the better. But what is it used for? Is it more important than cash flow itself, the measure of cash flow? Okay, so these questions we'd like to answer this coming Wednesday kasi mahabang discussion na to, no? Mabibitin lang tayo kung simulan natin. So I want you to, good day, may I have a video? March 18, March 23, di ba guys, na-post ko na yun ha? Okay, may nagtatanong kasi kung the videos have already been, guys, automatic yan eh, pagka, okay, let me just answer that question. Tapos guys, magre-request ako na pag nagpo-post ako o kunyari may announcement, paki-acknowledge na lang guys kasi para gusto kong malaman kung sige, tapusin ko na muna to, then I'll get back to that. I think it has always been my practice to post. Tingnan yung modules guys, no? At saka pag nagpo-post sa modules, makaka-receive kayo ng ng announcement. So ando doon na dapat 'yon. I already posted that. Okay, so it's almost time guys. So we'll pick it up from here yung concept ng free cash flow. Paki-research guys, ano ba yung free cash flow, saan ba ginagamit 'yan? And then we look at the concept also of ROIC, return on investment. And then we go here, also the concept of MVA and EVA. Okay, for your practice, guys, kindly compute for the statement of cash flows and the changes in shareholders' equity. Nitong pangalawa, yung microdrive, ito yung FS nila. No? So, pakigawa yung statement of cash flows and then statement of changes in shareholders' equity. Pati, paki-compute na rin itong mga to, yung mga kinompute natin ngayon. Alright, so, sige. So with that guys, let's end our discussion. Stop.